afternoon. Thank you. So just like to obviously thank Startups Expo for inviting me to this prestigious event. I'm really honored to be able to speak and to be elected as one of the guest speakers. I'm now going to share my screen as I would like to just introduce myself and my organization, and we can go from there. Okay, great. So let's start off. So I work for Robert Walters. We're a specialist professional recruitment organization. Thank you very much once again for inviting us to speak at this event. My name is Ryan Olver. I'm the manager and head of West African recruitment for Robert Walters. I specialize in recruiting senior level hires in the West African market, but my team and I also focus on North Africa as well as Central Africa. There are my details below. I'll also show the screen at the end in case anyone wants to take them down so that you can get hold of me. So what I'd like to be discussing during the presentation today is about Robert Walters, what our purpose and strategy is, our brands and where we operate, and how we do things differently, and our social purpose. And then obviously I'll also focus on Robert Walters Africa, our footprint and disciplines, and then also speak on the startups and capability and recruitment process, market intelligence, and lastly, our partnership reputation. So just to start off, about Robert Walters Group, Robert Walters is a British firm that was established in 1985. It is FTSE listed with over 3,700 staff in over 60 offices worldwide, turnover of around $1.5 billion. Robert Walters has offices in over 30 countries around the world, so we truly are a global organization. Our purpose and strategy, well, our mission is, and what we aspire to be, is the world's leading specialist professional recruitment group. Our purpose and why we exist and what we want to achieve is to empower people and organizations to fulfill their unique potential. What are our core principles and our values? Well, teamwork, definitely, integrity, passion, innovation, and quality. And those are the fundamentals that we use when we deal with all of our dealings with our clients across the African continent. Our strategy, the group strategy for growth, is centered on organic international expansion and disciplined diversification, ensuring a balanced footprint covering both mature and developing markets. International expansion plus disciplined diversification will result in our mission to be the world's leading professional recruitment organization. These are some of our brands. So obviously the main brand being Robert Walters, who focus on specialist professional recruitment. We work with candidates from early career stages all the way through to C-suite appointments. We recruit permanent, contract, and interim professionals across the world. We also then have part of our group, Walters People, specialist staffing. They are a specialist staffing brand recruiting temporary, contract, and junior permanent roles for finance and business support positions across Belgium, France, Hong Kong, Ireland, the Netherlands, Spain, and the UK. And then finally, we have Resource Solutions, a recruitment process outsourcing. That is our international recruitment outsourcing brand, managing client recruitment processes to improve quality and reduce hiring costs. Since 1997, we've recruited the world's best talent for some of the world's leading brands. Where we operate, well, as I mentioned before, we've got over 60 offices in 30 countries around the world. So you can see all the different continents that we're based, and you're more than welcome to visit our website to see exactly which cities and countries we operate in. Quote from our Chief Executive Officer himself, Mr. Robert Walters: "Our reputation for quality is built on the standards of service we offer. Indeed, is what differentiates us from our competitors and ensures the long-term sustainability of our business." So how are we different? Well, we trust our real-world experience. Many of our consultants join us with industry experience. They're passionate about what they do, and they have extensive professional networks, which means our clients know that any candidate we put forward will have the right skill set. We also put our people before profit. Our consultants don't receive individual commission. They're rewarded on a team-based profit share model. This promotes a positive working culture where the needs of our clients and candidates always come first and where teamwork is incentivized. And we're using technology as an enabler. We see technology as an enabler, not a threat. By tracking, testing, and trialing hundreds of new technologies each year, we can advise clients on what works, what doesn't, and how to make the hiring process more efficient. What's very close to our heart is also our social purpose. All of our CSR activities are inextricably linked to our purpose, powering people and organizations to fulfill their unique potential. Some of these examples would be our global charity days that we run. Our annual charity days see staff from across the group go all out to raise money for chosen charities in their local communities and regions. We're also supporting ex-offenders. We're helping prisoners prepare to re-enter the workforce with CV advice and interview preparation, thereby reducing the likelihood that they re-offend. We also have our Global Angels. We partner with the Global Angels Foundation in Tsavo, Kenya, to help transform the local community, improving access to proper nutrition and clean drinking water. And then obviously we also have our UK Young Artists of the Year, founded in 2019. This award is an exciting platform to launch the careers of the UK's next generation of artists. Let's dive a bit deeper into Robert Walters Africa. So these are African capabilities. I'm based in South Africa in our Johannesburg office, but my team and I focus on recruiting across the African continent. We have a West African team that focuses on the West African region. We also have a South and Central African team, North Africa, East Africa, as well as our Indian Ocean offering. What are our disciplines? Finance and accounting, legal and compliance, sales and marketing, tech and digital, human resources, senior operations and C-level, and supply chain and procurements. Okay, so if we look at the key considerations for startups. So I have two passions when it comes to recruitment. One is assisting my candidates to find their ideal roles and change their careers. Also to help my clients in order to find the best talent for their businesses. But more importantly, I'm really passionate about startups because I believe that startups are fundamentally so important in the world that we live in. These are some of the key considerations for startups. Right, so for a startup, hiring the wrong team is the number one reason why a startup fails. It's very important that you get this factor right. Remember, you're not hiring to fill a job. You're building a company and a brand. It's important not to hire people just because they're good in general and available. Consider their mindset, their aspiration, and whether they understand or are passionate about your vision as an organization. Studies have shown that a single bad hire could cost a company between $25,000 to $50,000 US. That's money that most startups cannot afford to waste. Beyond the cost of getting it wrong, your first few hires will set the tone for the future. Therefore, it is important to carefully consider the personalities of the first few people you hire into your business. So what are some of the top recruitment challenges a startup business faces? Well, the first one is company reputation and visibility. Now, as a startup, it's likely that your business isn't yet a household name. You don't have a reputation to fall back on, and in the hunt for talent, like larger corporations do. If no one has heard of your business, it's increasingly difficult to attract talent to work for you. Obviously, it's a risk for candidates to join a company they've never heard of, and at early stages of growth, that could be a potential red flag for them. As much as we hate to admit it, though, reputation plays a huge part in candidate decisions and employer brand perceptions, which is why recruiting for your startup is often tricky. What is the solution to this? Well, your EVP and employer brand. So your EVP, obviously being your employee value proposition. Consider what really sets you apart from your biggest talent competitions. And yes, this includes the most prominent players too. As a startup, your mission, values, and culture will be a huge drive for many candidates, especially those looking for a challenge or to be part of something exciting. With a smaller team, you probably haven't thought too much about creating an employee value proposition. But in the current talent market, you really should. This will help you identify what makes your business a unique place to work. And then you can obviously communicate this to your candidates, providing the foundations for your employer brand perceptions. Your employee value proposition will act as a guideline for your company culture. How employees are treated and what you expect from them is paramount. It's a very useful tool when trying to differentiate yourself from the competition and obviously building your employer brand. What would be another challenge? Well, lack of talent in the market. There's a global candidate shortage that is currently making recruitment difficult for businesses of all sizes, especially startups. So, as a startup, you need to ask yourself, how are you meant to hire people to grow your business if they don't exist? The solution? Reaching the passive or alternative candidates. With every startup, scale up, and established enterprise looking to the same pool of candidates to fulfill recruitment demand, there's no wonder many are struggling to find talent. Therefore, startups need to get creative and think outside of the box when it comes to hiring. Think of other ways to expand your talent pool, like using paid media campaigns. Is one example to reach out and promote your opportunity to relevant passive candidates, or rethink your idea of candidates who share your drive and values. Those are obviously very important factors. Another example would be this candidate that you're looking for. Have they been working in another industry and you see this as an opportunity for them to reskill, or they may have taken a lot of leave and are looking to re-enter the world of work. Being more open-minded and using digital advertising to expand your talent pool could definitely help. What would be another challenge? Well, increased competition for talent. Just as there's a lack of talent, there's a huge increase in companies recruiting and searching for the same talent. This obviously causes a problem for startups, as you really have to stand out to candidates who may never have even heard of your business before. If you're competing with the big players in tech like Amazon or Google or Facebook, then there's also the issue of compensation. Startups obviously cannot always offer the same salaries and packages as these big names because the funding isn't there. This makes it increasingly hard to appeal to talent as you risk being priced out of the race. What would be the solution to this? Well, form an emotional connection. So, how do you compete with these big players in the industries? Well, think about your EVP, as we've mentioned before, your employee value proposition, and what makes you a great place to work. But also consider your mission. Why did you begin this journey? What does your business stand for? Using these unique selling points and shared values as part of your employer brand communications will help you to resonate like-minded candidates. These will be candidates that care more about the value that their work brings and being happy in the workplace rather than their salary and the company name that they're working for. You need to appeal to candidates on an emotional level and give them reasons to want to work with you. Suppose you can connect with candidates emotionally by promoting your culture, values, and mission. In that case, you'll end up with better quality hires and improved retention as they'll be more dedicated to your cause. Lastly, what is another challenge that you could face? Balancing recruitment with growth. When you're a startup, you have other things on your mind besides recruiting and hiring staff and scaling up the business. Your leadership team are probably wearing many hats as you concentrate on finding funding, growing your product, and raising brand awareness, to name but only a few tasks. Recruiting takes up capacity. It is a very lengthy and frustrating process, and it can sometimes really prevent someone from doing their normal work than what they would normally be doing. But you don't have to worry, because that's where Robert Walters can come in. Recruiting takes up capacity, and what we can do as an organization is not only do we have the ability to advertise a job, but we have the ability to screen candidates, arrange and conduct interviews, and often conduct skills-based assessments. This takes time and resources. We can take the load off your shoulders. We can take the pressure away from you. So how can you grow your business while recruiting the talent you need to take your startup to the next level and meet demand? Seek help through a reputable recruitment agency. As a startup leader, it can be tempting to want to do everything yourself and carry out every task because the business is like your baby. However, if time isn't on your side, outsourcing recruitment isn't giving up responsibility. Instead, it's a strategic move to allow you to focus your attention where it's needed. So what are the reasons why startups are becoming more attractive to work for? Well, an accelerated career path. Now, obviously, there are a multitude of reasons why, post-pandemic, a job within a startup may appear more attractive. Salaries from public sector and larger companies continue to be difficult to contend with. However, it is the workplace culture and mindset of a professional that tends to draw them towards a startup. So with accelerated career growth, with relatively flat structures and hands-on founders and CEOs, new starters can find themselves lining up into the senior leadership team from day one. By taking on several different responsibilities and working very closely with senior members of the team, startup environments enable you to prove your worth early on. Small teams also mean that your work has the potential to have a direct impact on the business. Another very attractive feature is financial benefit. Now, many startups have an exit strategy in mind, which means you'll be working towards an ambitious deadline right from the get-go. Growth targets will be ambitious, but if achieved by the team, then they stand to obviously cash in on all the significant rounds of fundings, as shares are often offered as part of job packages as a way of competing with corporate play. Scale up and fast-paced mentality. Startups are designed to have high growth potential. On average, decisions are processed about 4 times quicker in a startup than within a large firm. So the changing and fast-paced nature of a startup keeps employees on their toes, encourage them to develop new skills as they go, and push boundaries beyond the initial job description that they were hired for. Business partner approach. Working for a startup, you'll understand how the whole company works and develop commercial acumen not expected of you when lower down in corporate structures. So some startup leaders actually argue that these on-the-job business lessons are in fact better than an MBA. Developing an entrepreneurial mindset. Working for a fast growth startup can be an intensive experience. So employees inevitably become more proactive and ambitious outside of work too. Constantly thinking about how to improve things, being more aware and problems on how to solve them, and more open to new cultures and ways of thinking. True team spirit. Due to their smaller size, startups tend to foster a close-knit, collaborative environment that encourages people to help where they can on tasks outside of their original remit. You're surrounded by highly hardworking, talented, and ambitious people willing to do the impossible. Diversity in every sense of the word. Well, startups have a core focus of finding the very best talent who can help achieve their ambitious goals, and as a result, remove any sort of socio-economic or geographical barriers in order to find their stars. This strong multicultural environment is becoming an increasingly appealing factor of the workplace. Lastly, ideas-driven entity. Startups are different from traditional businesses, primarily because they are grounded on disruptive innovation, created to address a perceived problem in the market. And with this, joining a startup means adopting an out-of-the-box mindset, an ability to think on your feet and get creative with smaller budgets and fewer resources. So I'd like to just move on to our Africa capabilities and what we do as an organization at Robert Walters. So we're very big into candidate referrals. We are speaking to local candidates on a daily basis. So when we are assisting startups or small, medium-sized enterprises or FTSE 500 organizations, we really do rely on our network, and candidate referrals prove very successful for us. We also do networking and seminars, like, for instance, this one. We love to attend events. We love to host events. We believe that really is our employee value proposition. And what Robert Walters does different is that, we like to pitch ourselves as a business partner to our organization and not merely just as a recruitment company that wants to make a placement. We obviously print and do online advertising, which so we can reach our audience as far as possible. We do job board search capabilities. We're very big on social media. We believe that we need to get our presence out there. And then we obviously also have our Robert Walters Global Job Search app as well. So what does our recruitment process look like? Well, as much as we do like to pride ourselves on speed, we actually do like to pride ourselves even more on our quality. So our process that we normally say to our clients is, if you give us a job role to work, a job description, we like to take down a briefing in its entirety. We always like to speak to the hiring manager, not to exclude HR, but mainly just to find out what their nuances are and to find out how we can solve those. So we go through a whole process of pre-registration screening of all the candidates, interviewing with specialist consultants, making sure that the candidates hit the brief in terms of what the client is looking for. We obviously then do shortlisting and presentation to the client. We're not going to send you 20 CVs of candidates. We're going to send you a short list of 5. And obviously with that, we're going to accompany that with reasons why we believe those are the best candidates for your business. So through this pre-screening, interview, and shortlisting, we normally say to our clients that we like to have a turnaround time of about a week, which is one of the fastest in the industry. And with that, we believe that all those candidates that we've sent to you deserve to have an interview. We also do market intelligence. So we print a lot of white papers. We really believe in getting our brand out there. We obviously we do a lot of our annual salary survey, which is awesome, because that's a great opportunity for clients and candidates to see what the salaries are in the market across the world. So that's really big, and that's something that we're very proud of. We do market updates and research as well, thought leadership. As I mentioned, our annual global salary survey, and then we also have our salary checker app, in which candidates can log on and see how their salaries are and compare it to their counterparts in the industry. So finally, I'd just like to put my details there. If you are interested in, as a client of a startup, as an employer, looking to scale up your business, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would love to assist you. If you're a candidate looking for their next great move and want to take the journey with me and how I can assist you in finding your next great career move, again, I'm happy to set up a coffee chat with you. We can have a call and we can go through your CV and your background and see how we can assist. That's my email address and my number. And I'd just like to thank you very much for this presentation. Hopefully your next hire is through Robert Walters, and I trust that we can find you that next best talent and return on investment for your organization. Thank you very much. Okay, so the first question we have is, what question should I ask a potential co-founder? Well, that's very good. That's a very good question to ask. I think as a co-founder, obviously, you've gone into a startup business as invested as the person that you're going in with. And we've worked with a number of co-founders alike. And some of the questions we ask them is, Firstly, why did you set up this startup? What were the reasons behind it? What is your employee value proposition, and what do you really want to achieve from this? And then secondly, how can we find talent in your organization in order to match that vision that you have? So I think it's very important to create that synergy between what the co-founders and the founders of the business have, and then find talent that buys into that and are able to come on board and believe in the values that you've obviously instilled into the organization. Is it okay to hire someone with no experience? Well, again, that goes back to my previous point of thinking out the box. Because it's such a competitive market out there, and because employees are looking at different ways of differentiating themselves, I think it's very important to look at candidates who maybe don't have experience, but maybe have done something else that can create value for the organization. For example, if you're looking for a finance person, yes, maybe they don't have 5 or 10 years experience as a finance professional in an organization, but maybe they've attended great courses that could help your business thrive, or maybe they've attended great seminars that could also be very beneficial for your organization. So I think it's always important to give people the chance. But again, it just depends on what type of position you're hiring for. And then from there, you can then make a decision. Do we use digital transformation techniques in our ad works? Well, when we put up ads, we like to make them as appealing as possible. We obviously want to reach the audience, and we want to make sure that they are very interested in the roles that we're advertising for. I think digital transformation techniques is definitely the way things are going at the moment. So gone in the old days, we used to post an advert in the newspaper, or used to post them just online and just expect to have great ad response. So yes, we are looking at different ways of how we can digitalize our ads and how we can make them more attractive. And yes, obviously appealing to different generation now. Everyone is really on social media. Everyone's involved from a technical perspective. So our adverts are always looking at ways in order to push the boundaries and to make sure that we are attracting very good talent, especially in the generation which we're trying to appeal to. Is it okay to post a job offer with the assigned salary? That is a very, very good question. And I've actually got that question a lot of times. I am a bit hesitant too. And the reason being is because, for example, let's say you post a job advert and the salary is there, and that's the salary that the client has given you. Now, what happens if a candidate that ticks all the boxes and is perfect for the role sees that, and they think, oh, well, I'm currently earning that. So if that's all that they're earning, if that's all that they're offering, there's no point in me applying for the job. So it almost then you lose a potential fantastic candidate in the process. So what I always say is, let's not put a salary down. Let's rather have a discussion with the candidate. Remember, there is a lot of negotiation that can happen. I've had a lot of clients in the past where I've presented candidates that have been exactly on the budget, and the clients have actually fallen in love with the candidate so much so that they've actually offered them even more money and stretched the budget and gone above and beyond it. So to answer your question, I wouldn't put a salary there because it's just going to limit you in your job search. I would rather put it as negotiable. And then if the person applies, have a conversation with them, understand their salary details, and then go from there. Great. Thank you very much. And yes, if you want to reach out to me on social media, on LinkedIn, please do. Please don't hesitate to ask me any questions that you may have, and I'd be happy to answer them. This is my LinkedIn page. If you want to connect with me, please feel free to. And as I said, we can have a exploratory conversation, whether you're an employer or an employee, and either looking for a job or looking for someone to fill a job in your organization. And I would be happy to assist you.